Hey friend, this is the Traveling Wellnesspreneur podcast, and I'm your host, Allie Temple. I travel full-time running my dream wellness biz from the tropics, and I want to share with you how you can create a lifestyle of freedom and purpose too. Stay tuned for inspiring and fun conversations that will empower you to take action towards your dream lifestyle of travel and freedom. Let's get into it. Welcome back, friend. So I recently sat down with the lovely Annie Dunhof to chat about her experience with full-time travel for many years, learning new languages, her amazing biz, which I'll talk about in a moment, and the journey that she went through as a new entrepreneur building a biz while already traveling. I am honestly so inspired by what Annie has created and what she had to say, and I cannot wait to share this episode with you. Annie guides multilingual yoga teachers on their journey of building an international career with confidence and authenticity. At Enga, she unites wellpreneurs, empowering them through language, communication, and business education. It's her purpose to propagate the transformative impact of our practices worldwide, boosting personal and professional growth universally. So for the multilingual yoga teachers out there, Annie has her own podcast called Language and Business Education for Multilingual Yoga Teachers that you can check out in the show notes, along with a couple of free quizzes. And when you are down there hanging out in the show notes post-episode, you can also check out the details on my 2 upcoming retreats happening in Sayulita, Mexico and Ubud Bali in 2024. Now let's get to my conversation with Annie. Hi, Annie. How are you doing?
Great, thank you. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm so excited to get to chat with you today.
Yeah,
this
me
is so
too.
great. So where are you in the world, Annie?
Currently, I'm in the Netherlands.
You are in the Netherlands. And is that home base for you?
Well, at the moment it is. I've been away for about 12 years, traveling, living abroad, but this is where I was born and I'm spending the summer here. I'm really just going with the flow, but it's unlikely that I'm here longer than 3-4 months max at a time.
That's so funny. That's like exactly my story, almost exactly anyway. Like I haven't been traveling as long as you, but I've been spending time back in Vancouver this summer as well. And I'm like 3 to 4 months off and on is my maximum. I'm actually in Mexico right now, but yeah, that's so cool. So I want to chat more about your time traveling, and there's a lot that I want to ask you. So I'm curious what brought you into traveling in the first place, and was it really important to you to build a business that was travel friendly, that you could work from anywhere?
Yes, absolutely. I think my business came after I started traveling because I've been in the online world for about 4 years right now. But before that, I was traveling for a long time already. So to answer that first question, I started traveling when I was really young because I never really felt at home where I was born. Mm-hmm. And I'm just really curious and I love to explore and learn languages. Mm-hmm. I moved abroad to learn different languages, fell in love with the English language, fell in love with yoga because as you travel, it's almost impossible to not practice yoga as well. Yeah. A lot of people do.
You need it more than ever when you're traveling too, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I was doing both of those things and I started teaching yoga and English separately, but wanted to maintain that traveling lifestyle. Mm-hmm. But I just saw how that could evolve working in different places around the world, but also online. So the online business actually just originated from the fact that I was already traveling.
I love how you started traveling first and then you thought, how can I create something that works for me and that fuels my passions and what you love, traveling and yoga? I can totally relate to that. And that's so cool. So that is how Enga Unite was born, I imagine. Can you tell us about Enga Unite? What is it and how would you describe it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the name Enga is really just a combination of English and yoga put together. It's nothing fancy.
Love that.
And it's an online learning platform where I help non-native English-speaking yoga teachers teach yoga in English. So really we honed in on finding your voice, expressing yourself, learning all the words and the vocabulary, the terms that you need when you teach classes. And by that, create a possibility for yourself to also teach abroad or in different countries around the world or online and reach different people, right? Apart from that, we focus really on the career development. So once they know how to teach in English and feel confident doing that, what really are your career opportunities? So we look at how to create maybe courses or your own retreats, host programs or events abroad as well. So it's really just an all-round continuing education program consisting of out of many different modules and courses and things going on. Online learning platform.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love how it goes back to the passion and what you love to do. You just created something out of that, and you're helping so many yoga teachers start to live their passion as well. And I'm all for that. I love that. I'm curious, out of the yoga teachers you've been helping, is there a kind of a common thread? Like, what's one of the biggest struggles that you find that they are facing around teaching English? And how do you generally support them through that?
That's a really, really great question. I would have answered that differently last year or the year before that. It constantly changes. But one of the most common things, especially for the people that just start out, so they sometimes don't even have experience teaching in their first language, is expressing themselves, finding their voice, and how to cue in a way that's concise and precise, but also accurate and inclusive. So it's really just the language and communication in class. And apart from that, how to do that, still feeling myself and not losing the essence of my personality. So it's really finding a way to communicate yourself in a way that's super clear and easily understood, but also feeling yourself doing it.
Yeah, that's something that's so important as a yoga teacher. Like, I know even English being my first and only language, I struggled with that so much as a new teacher. And over the years, I've been teaching for a decade now, and it really took me so long to actually find my voice. And like you said, being concise with the cueing, that's something that I think is like a lifelong challenge for so many of us. How can we say directly what we want to say? And I'm curious if you think that there's a confidence piece in that, like when teachers are struggling with being concise and direct with their cueing and their teaching, do you think that could have something to do with a confidence lack?
Yes, definitely. It can be confidence. Usually we lack confidence because we also lack practice, and we also lack, apart from the practice, the knowledge to actually use words and put them in the right order. We even have native speakers on the course that really want to just optimize their cueing techniques. Yeah, what I see is they're unconfident because they don't have the knowledge or the practice to actually do this. And it might be that in yoga teacher training, they haven't been given that opportunity, or that in real life, they lack the confidence to try it out. So my solution with that is really simple. And maybe I'm too much of a teacher, but I'm giving everyone cueing formulas, so sentence structures to put words in specific orders. And that way, it's impossible for it not to work. And the other thing is practice, practice, practice. Keep doing it. And your friends, your family, teachers that you've done your training with, just really use your network to practice, because that's the only way to build confidence, I think, in anything.
Totally. Yeah, it goes hand in hand, I think, also with the online space for those yoga teachers and wellness entrepreneurs who are wanting to start their online or their global businesses and they're not comfortable on video or with the tech. It comes down to practice, right? Just like you said, if it's a new skill, we have to be vulnerable and put ourselves out there and try and understand that it's not always going to be perfect and it's not supposed to be perfect. You must have to inspire these teachers to continue even when it's challenging, because as we know, as yoga teachers and business owners, there are so many challenges beyond the language barrier. Like, I can't even imagine throwing that into the mix when there are already so many layers in building a business and starting to teach yoga and really teach from a place of vulnerability and authenticity, where you're also adding in that incredible layer of learning a language. So kudos to everyone who is moving through that and learning that. That's a lot.
It doesn't all happen at the same time, right? I think that there's a process to it, and we all start somewhere. We all have experiences and transferable skills that we've gained in life. And from there, I just really like to lay everything out step by step to not feel overwhelmed, because like you said, it's a lot that you can do and can learn and focus on. The most important thing for me always is to focus on what you truly need right now. And apart from needing it, what you're also going to use. Yeah. And especially when we look at yoga teacher training, there's so much that comes to you. What is it that you need and use the moment that you start teaching? Right.
So when did you learn English then? Have you learned some English throughout your life, or was that more when you started to travel full time?
I love that question because I have a really funny answer to that. Not right now, not anymore, but it used to be very embarrassed about it. So I grew up in the Netherlands and we learned English in school. I think from when I was 12 years old. Well, you get to high school and you have to do your exams. And I failed my oral exams for English. And I remember my teacher saying, like, this is never really going to be your thing. You're really good at the grammar and writing things and you understand everything, but speaking is not going to be your thing. Okay, well, fine. You know, all the things they tell you at school. Yeah. But then my first boyfriend was Australian and he didn't speak Dutch. So I had to. And I would literally sit next to him with Google Translate and write down all this, the whole sentence of the things that I would say. Yeah. And little by little, I had to learn. In that same year, after we met, I think I went traveling. And that's when things really started to roll, because you don't really have the opportunity to speak another language, at least where I was. And I was forced to just do it, get myself out there, to make mistakes and be comfortable with making mistakes, because that's really the only way to learn and improve, and just speak. And people are really patient and they really, really want to help you. And I know that's not possible for everyone to move abroad and do that. Yeah. And that's also why we have courses where we give that opportunity is to speak as much as possible. So do you think that any part of you from that moment in high school where the teacher told you that this is not for you, did that light some little fire inside of you that perhaps maybe stuck around until you were like, you know what? I'm going to prove that teacher wrong, and I'm going to create a career out of teaching people how to teach in English. I'm not sure. I am very driven and a little bit competitive, I do admit. Definitely in that time not, because I was super insecure and I experienced a lot of self-doubt. Maybe after, once I started to speak and realized that actually I can speak English, this is not as difficult as you made it sound. Maybe after it did, but in the very beginning, no. Yeah, that's really cool. So I'm curious now, other than learning the language, when you started to build Enga Unite, what was the biggest challenge for you starting to be an entrepreneur and a business owner? Wow, there's so many different challenges that come to my mind right now. How do you pick one? I think I'm going to go with the online part of it, because that was something completely new to me. And I think number one is the mindset shift of being a teacher and holding space for your students and delivering the best classes possible is very different from being an entrepreneur and building a business and educating yourself or taking courses and finding support with all the technical aspects of it, the marketing, the business, your social presence. Those two things, being a teacher and being an entrepreneur, is a completely different skill set. So that was something that I had to start from zero and educate myself or find support with. When you did shift into that entrepreneur business owner, what did you do to overcome the challenge of that shift? I wasn't really aware of this shift, but I realized that I wasn't having any success building a business. So what helped me in that time was to go with a business course or a business coach and focus on courses that provided me with the knowledge and the expertise or the skills, then I needed to set up everything online and reach the right people. That actually brings me to the second biggest challenge for me, which was reaching those people. How do you reach them? And for me, you'll probably laugh when I say this, but it was a lack of competition, because everyone fears competition. But competition can be a really, really good thing, because it means there's a market for it. Right? People do want that offer. Once you're in that field where many people offer something similar, you're always going to be the person that speaks to them more, right? So I really don't believe in that competition thing. But for me, there was a lack because there was no one else that was offering the same, which made it really, really hard to reach these people because they don't know that it exists. They don't even know that this is something that they can benefit from or what the results will be. Because in my case, they would be searching for English classes or a yoga class in English. But they didn't have any familiarity or any knowledge on the fact that there's an actual course that helps them with the skill or the English language skills that they need as a yoga teacher. Reaching the right people and optimizing that message, understanding what it is that they search for so that they can find you and you can actually speak to them and tell them, hey, this is how I can help you.
Yeah, well, you're a pioneer in your industry, paving the way for teaching yoga in English. I love that. That's so inspiring. That's a really important point that you brought up about, I think that there are so many yoga teachers that are afraid to do something that someone else is already doing. And you're exactly right. Like, if someone else is already doing it, that means it's in need and there are people looking for support with that. So all the more reason to just be unique and authentic and bring your own spin to it. There's room for everyone, which is something that I think we need to hear over and over again, especially for yoga teachers who are starting to shift into the online space, like you said, or actually build a business that's sustainable. So I appreciate that you brought that up. That's such an important point.
It's really easy, right, to get defeated by the fact, oh, well, there's already a course for maternity yoga or Ayurveda and yoga combined. But yeah, it's really, really, really important. This is the one phrase that I always tell that we read or we hear when we practice yoga, but there's a teacher for everyone, right? That's what they say. But there are students for everyone too. And that we forget often.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's such a great point. So tell us a little bit about what you've got cooking up with Enga Unite and what are you offering for teachers who are interested in working with you?
Yeah, we start a course journey. So it's a 6-month program to not just focus on the language and communication, but also your overall teaching skills, such as sequencing, accessibility, offering props and asana variations to really just build your confidence teaching yoga in general and even more so in English so that they can build an international career.
That's super exciting. I love that. We'll definitely share that information. And if you are not following Enga Unite, please do that.
Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you. I mean, looking at everything that you have created over the years and the success that you've had is incredibly inspiring. And especially the piece around doing that while you're traveling. And that is really how it all started for you. So I'm super inspired by that. And I look forward to staying connected and learning more from you. Absolutely. And seeing what else you're up to in the near future. So thank you so much for taking some time today, Annie, and chatting with me. This has been super fun. I totally appreciate it.
Same, likewise. Thank you so much for having me. I really can't wait to stay connected and hang out with you more.
We'll leave it at that, I think, for today, and we'll talk to you soon. That's it for now. Thanks so much for joining me, and until next time, let's stay connected. Follow me on Instagram at Ali Temple Yoga. Join us in the Traveling Wellnesspreneurs Facebook group. And if you enjoyed this episode, please take a minute to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. See you next time.